I also wanted to say that Poki'i is a member of the Honolulu Club. Okay, go ahead.
Here we go again. Now, hi everybody. I'll just do the real short introduction. I'm Dr. Puki Balaz. I am coming to all of you via New York City. That's where I'm currently based, and will be. I've been here since August, and will be here into the summer before returning to Hawaii. The reason I'm out in New York City is because I am part of President Obama's fifth cohort of his Obama Scholars program. And so in this program, we are well integrated into Columbia University as well as Columbia World Projects, which is one of the many of the departments within Columbia University. But just real quick to give everybody a quick introduction into the Scholars Program. So one of the wonderful things when I found out about it is, and when I applied, is that this program is really based on social impact. So it's looking for young leaders to help to bring young leaders here for a year to really elevate our skills and our abilities, not only as leaders, but also in the community, but also to enhance what we're doing. While we are out here, and I will say that this program is different than any leadership program I have been part of ever. And I've been part of quite a few leadership programs. This program is really introspective, reflective, um, and I don't think I'll do it justice by any of the words that I use, but we come here with an action plan after the many rounds and the interviews that we do to get selected. We come here to return home with an action plan for us then to implement. So before I get into some of the services they were provide, like for me, we are 12 different leaders from 12 different countries brought together to solve problems is really kind of what it is in a nutshell. I'm the first from Hawaii to be selected for this program, and so I represent Hawaii and the United States. And then there's 12 others. So for me, that was a huge honor to be the first to come from Hawaii and to be selected to represent the United States in one. So it was a double sword, and so it was amazing, and it's an honor, and I hope I'm not the last from Hawaii. They receive a few thousand applications, and they dwindle it down to the 12 of us. Um, so it really was, I don't know, I can't say it enough, an honor. So part of the things that they offer in this program is, of course, definitely leadership development. So we reflect to look at our work, we refine it. It's looking at building sustainable solutions, but also personal resilience. We have virtual session formats, we have in-person, we meet many leaders around the world in many different aspects. We meet leaders from the United States, of course, from Colombia. We are able to bring leaders that we know in our circles to come into the program, present. They provide us with executive coaches, strategic communication, experts on topics such as fundraising, anything from climate change to grassroots to things that are happening on the ground. So we really get immersed in this world of leadership and really learn from all these different leaders at one time. So it's really looking at just giving rising leaders around the world who are making a difference in their community an opportunity to take our work to the next level in this immersive curriculum, and which is really skill-based and hands-on learning. So I hope if they ever see this recording, the foundation is happy with my with my spiel on them because they do look for anything that has to do with them. So I think that's a little bit about the program, and I never thought I would be in this program or be selected to be here. So before I go backwards to start in my journey, anybody have questions about the Scholars Program that they'd like to ask? No? Okay. Well, just know that if you have young leaders in your club, who are looking to be able to scale their work, it might be something they want to consider going at. So, um, I did. I don't really want this to just be all me talking, but I would just really quickly tell you a real snippet about my story. And I think from Naomi, in introduction, I can definitely talk about the challenges that I felt as a young leader coming in to try to, be on par with the many people that are on here. So I born and raised, grew up in Hawaii. I grew up in Waihila, small town, small local girl, big dreams. And I knew that I wanted to, which sounds so cliche, help people. I was watching my people, my own people around me, and I really wanted to do something to step up. So I went into the healthcare. I wanted to be an astronaut at first, wanted to go into business, and then my mother was like, pick medicine or law school, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna pick medicine. So I went into healthcare. I graduated. After I graduated with my BSN, I was recruited out. So I lived in Oklahoma and worked in county hospitals, got into education department there. From there, I went to LA and worked at Cedar Sinai, where I was being groomed to become the manager of the unit that we were on. After that, my father's diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease given, and so my mother called me about a year later and asked me to return home and to help her take care of my father. So I did. I came home as a very young professional. I had a career track in front of me in LA, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. There's nothing more that I've ever done in my life than to serve and honor my father by taking care of him and walking through this journey with him and my mother. And there's no regrets. But I returned to Hawaii with no job, not sure how I was going to redevelop myself. When was I going to go back into the workforce? I became a caregiver while medicine. Yes, I understood the diagnosis. Nothing prepared me for the life I was about to embark on as a caregiver. But many of what I shared with you in LA and Oklahoma, I always got pulled into leadership positions. When I graduated, I was the president of my class, and so I really started looking at my strengths and what I could leverage and what were my challenges also, and using that time to research, kind of like R&D, research and develop. So I immersed myself into dementia. I linked up with the Alzheimer's Association. I started working on becoming an advocate, learning different programs, learning how to support caregivers. I began going into the community and teaching other caregivers how to be successful at this challenging mission to serve someone else over yourself and give them the best quality of care they can for the entire life. But that kept leading me to where I needed to be. From there, I started working at Kalihi Valley in the memory clinic. I returned to school, got my executive MBA. I became the director of nursing at Lunalilo Home, and that place really brought my professional and my personal life together. I then began to oversee many departments, operations, became the interim executive director and the acting CEO of the trust, and then coming to now being the chief policy compliance officer and still overseeing operations of the home, even all the way in New York City. And from that, though, in that time, I also adopted my nephew with autism, and so the advocate in me became very prominent, and then began to work on policy within the community and getting involved in organizations such as Rotary, the Alzheimer's Association, sitting on PABIA, and many other organizations, and continuing to accumulate board appointments in areas that really touched my heart and I wanted to lead. So for me, because I know, Naomi, sorry, I think I only had 10 minutes, but I'm almost done getting there. See, I'm Portuguese, right? We can talk a lot, but I'm gonna try and wrap it up. So I think for me, what I learned, what probably many of you have already been through in life, and what I learned was to really find my passion and my purpose. And with that, it will drive everything else, and not being so focused on, am I going to get that title that is going to equal this and equal that, and have a goal. And that was really what led me in my mission and continues to inspire me as a leader and the leader that I want to be. I think this program that I'm in now, being introspective, has really helped me to look back and reflect and reconnect to who I am as a person, and also reconnect to who I know I am as a leader. Because becoming a caregiver, a professional caregiver and a personal caregiver, I never thought I would see the day when burnout would hit me, and it hit me. And I think words such as burnout and self care are so trivia now that people use it all the time, that it doesn't have the effect that it has or it should have on people. And that's one thing I've learned as a leader is boundaries and to take care of myself. Because I really can't take care of all these people's lives that I'm in charge of if I'm not at 100% of my own. Listening today, I'm going to pivot a little bit from what I was talking about. Kuleana is a strong word we use in the Native Hawaiian language, and but I think that it resonates really hard for us. It's more than just responsibility and accountability. Like being at Lunalilo Home, I absorbed the mission and vision of King Lunalilo. That was my Kuleana, to make sure that I exhibited that across the communities and across wherever I was. It wasn't a job. It wasn't a mission and vision to regurgitate out to people. It was something to live. So as leaders, right, we lead by example. So hoping that while I'm leading Lunalilo Home and caregivers and teaching on the community, that I'm leading by the example that I'm trying to set forth for others. And sometimes we get so caught up in the pretty words we use that we forget that we actually have to live by those actions. And so that was really purposeful for me as I start to do all these things in the community and make all these connections. And some of the other things that I've really enjoyed is getting feedback, learning from others. I don't think because you're the leader, you have all the answers. My mother gave me a book when I was very young that said you don't need a title to be a leader. And I've read that many, many times. And I love to help other people that I see as leaders, uplift them. But I also think constantly educating myself and knowing what's happening, looking for mentors, coaches, and building my own board. So I have, built my board, and it changes over time as life changes, of surrounding myself with people that I can go to, that I can talk to, that I can ask questions to. And so many of my challenges have just come from learning experiences. And one of the biggest ones was learning how to invest in myself and to pivot and change and reinvent myself more than once over. Probably one of the other biggest ones is I'm a gap generation. And so who's after me? Is it Gen X, Z? I don't even remember. But they're very tech savvy and all of this. And I came from the generation where we still very much listened to our elders and incorporated that and took it and then tried to innovate into how can we create the next, but never forgetting where we came from, who we are, and what we've learned, and taking both bookends and trying to mold it together. Where I think the generation under me, I'm not saying they don't do that either, but I don't know how to do a TikTok either. So that is definitely something I have to educate myself on, so that I can go make TikToks and help other people with things. But I'm learning, and I'm trying, and I ask them questions, and I try to learn about what their expectations are of leadership, what their expectations are of service above self, what they feel they can contribute, and try to take that with what I know, what I've been comfortable with and raised in, and put it together. Because growth comes with leadership, and that's putting myself in vulnerable and uncomfortable spaces so that I can continue to learn, grow, and that I can continue to be the best leader that I can, and continue to lead by example. And so I think I'll end it there for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Pookie. For Rotary, we want to find more people like you. So how do we find people, and and when we get them in, how do we care for them? How do we get them engaged and make it a meaningful partnership with young professionals?
Can we turn off the recording? No, I'm just joking. No, I think that's a good question. It's a timely question too, Naomi, that we ask in geriatrics. Right now, even though when I go to PABIA meetings, or when we're at the center talking about a lot of these, there's not a lot of young people interested. Right? We know for the physicians, we have a shortage in the geriatrics department. Nurse practitioners are starting to fill in those gaps, but still, even in healthcare, right, it's not like OBGYN or other places that attract a lot. So even in the community, it's how do I get young people more involved? with issues of elder care, because we're all going to be there one day. And so for me, I feel like after becoming a caregiver and watching what my parents went through and how hard it was to connect to services, and and seeing a lot of gaps in the systems, if I don't try to do something now, then what was the point in everything that I learned? Then I'll be facing the same problems when I'm that age too. So it does relate back to your question, because it's in a sense one and the same that I'm dealing with also. And so, some of it is turning how people perceive it, right? That they perceive geriatrics or working in a long-term care facility. And I'll be honest, when I came to Rotary, I love it. Like, I mean, I loved coming to the meetings at, uh, you know, out in Waikiki, and I love seeing everybody, and I love being part of the projects. But I had a misperception too of Rotary. I thought that you had to be of a certain age to join Rotary and of a certain status. And to be honest, there's not a lot of people who look like me who are in Rotary. And so I didn't see myself reflected in Rotary, so I didn't think it was a place for me to belong because of my age, how I look, and that I didn't necessarily have the status to belong to Rotary, or the financial means to belong to Rotary. And so those were, all barriers for me. And so when I was introduced to Rotary and it was explained a little bit to me, and no, you don't have to worry about that, I was still like, you say that now, but what happens, with the bill? And I asked, how much is it to join, and all those kind of things, and still made the decision to join because I really believed, I really loved the mission and purpose and what Rotary exhibits. So I think for me, those four things that I said is a barrier to young people. And I know that there's like an e-Rotary club, that's great. I know that we're increasing. So I think the ability for, even if we were doing marketing campaigns, to focus in on areas that are barriers to us, younger professionals, and to make sure to hit on those points and to present. I think it would be good to have a young professional and someone who's very seasoned in Rotary to present at different clubs or places where young people are gathering, to hear how they can be, and to switch it in how, not just what Rotary can give them, but what they can give and what Rotary is looking for them. That, we are looking for new ideas, new innovation, and a new way to get our message out and to, bring in young leaders. And so I don't think, when I would see things on Rotary, it was about the mission. I loved the pictures, but again, I didn't necessarily really know all of the different projects Rotary was doing and all the people that were involved and they were helping. And the pictures weren't reflective of younger professionals or people that looked like me. So I just, appreciated it, but didn't go forth. And so I don't want to keep repeating myself, but I think targeting what the younger professionals are looking for will really help to attract them.
Okay, any questions for Puki?
I think Shirley?
Shirley's got a question. Go ahead, Shirley.
Oh, Shirley, you're on mute.
Shirley, you have to unmute yourself.
Unmute, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
To begin with, I am so impressed with you. So impressed. You must have so much energy. You just pop out of bed and say, look, I'm here. I am so impressed. I had two questions, and I wanted to say you had an excellent presentation of perception of Rotary and how to recruit younger persons into Rotary. Myself, I'm in Hawaii, but I don't look like anybody in Hawaii. I'm not Hawaiian and I'm not Asian. I'm really African American. That's what I am. But I have a mission to serve, and I've always wanted to do leadership. And my question was, What a wonderful program you're in out in there for the year. And I'm sure you're absorbing everything. I'm a talker. I'm sorry. Okay, but the question is there a leadership product that you're going to bring back to Hawaii for our young leaders? Is there something tangible or something that you're going to say, this is what we should be doing to recruit young leaders when you return?
No, that's a good question. Wait, did you have two questions or you want me to answer that question first? And then,
Oh, whatever you want to do. You're good at it. You're very
yeah,
flexible.
you can give me both questions and I'll be able to remember.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess I'll just answer that one. So, uh, yes, part of what I'm working on over here is looking at young leadership development. When you submit your application, it is a very lengthy process, and one part of it is letting them know about what your future goals are and how you're looking at accomplishing that, and then what you think the program is going to give you to help enhance that or to hit your goals. And of course, that comes up in your interview also. So what I wrote about very much tied into elder and IDD spaces and building that. But to your point, a portion of that was to bring in young leaders more into these spaces. So while that is a leadership point within the program that I'm hoping to bring back, also adding on to that is specifically taking that out of the plan, the action plan that I'm writing. We do write an action plan over here. And I have been looking at working with one of our other facilitators to just expand on that for young leaders. And so I'm hoping for it to be a program that Shuri, when I come back, maybe you and I can meet up and talk about and, you know, be able to tweak it to maybe fit the needs of Rotary and, you know, and help to develop young leaders and also, you know, maybe recruit young leaders.
Thank you. Thank you. That's good.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions for Pookie? No,
Ma'am,
let's,
It's Rachel. Can you hear
Rachel?
me? Yeah.
Yes.
Pokey, so we have that problem in our club where we have a lot of older people who are retired. And then, sorry, I just came on video. And then we have like 6 new members and I want to pair them up, right? So that they can help each other. But the older mentors or the older leaders aren't stepping up. I don't know what to do about that. I guess I could interview each one and see if there's some similarity between the two. But our problem is we're not hooking up the new members to, if you ask them individually, they will do it, right? But that means, once again, I have to do every project in order to get everybody. And that's not what I want to do. I want to have people who want to do a project, and I think the younger ones do, but how do I get the ones to help them?
Well, that is maybe a question everybody here could help us with. When I came to the Honolulu Club too, you know, we introduce ourselves, the new leaders, right? Every month you get leaders, and that was one of, I asked, but we're the new ones. We don't know what any of the older, you know, club members, who they are, their companies they work for, their interests, their passions. So how do I know who to talk to? Exactly what you're doing. So thank you at least for making this bridge program to help to foster that, because you know, just knowing a person's name in our directory, I'm like, well, how do I? And one of the things for young leaders is that introduction. Sometimes just getting that introduction, right? If not, we're making cold calls, and not everyone is interested in receiving cold calls from young leaders. I think flipping to your question though is, I know you said you have 6 leaders. I mean, I don't, and forgive me, I hope I'm not coming across rude, but is if, you know, the ones that you're choosing in the older club, is there other maybe older members, and maybe even if they're 20 years, just 5 years or 10 years, you know, that are willing to serve as a mentor, because they have to want to do it, right? If you feel like Jane should, but Jane isn't into it, then yeah, there's not going to be any follow through. Another thing that helped too in our program is that when we were choosing our coaches or or talking to people is we got short bios on them. So maybe if you pick, whoever you pick the 6 of the seasoned members, if they can get the bios of the new members and the new members can get the bios. I guess in a short, what I might be nice to create is a Rotary mentor, mentorship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or within your club. And then the young leaders maybe can choose or rank, like, I would love to be mentored by like Vern, Heather, and David, and like put one, who they want. And, if all 5 choose one person, you can kind of start going to number 2 and number 3. That's kind of how we started doing things here to help out, because, sometimes everybody wants to be one person. And actually, I was part of the mentor-mentee committee for Chamber of Commerce YP. And that was another thing we did too, was we let the mentees choose. And then if we had so many people for this one person, we looked at who is their number 2, who is their number 3, and then based on interest, who would actually be the best fit. And so,
Okay, so I'll start there, because the mentees have ideas and they have programs, but I don't have any of the older people stepping up. So I guess I can look at what the program is and then introduce them to a person that has some of that. I'll try to do it that way. I can't even get committees, but that actually would be a way to get a committee.
Yeah.
yeah.
Thanks, Rachel. We're problem solvers, so let's look at the situation, and if it doesn't work one way, how do we do it done another way? And it could be just getting those people together to be a peer mentor group. But anyway, how about we give Poki'i a hand? Thanks, Poki'i. And back to you, Benson.
So Poki, before you leave, my grandmother used that word a lot. She didn't actually even speak English, and she used the word Poki. And if you guys know why, Poki means small, but she used it in terms of young. Good. So one of the things that she would say as we were growing up, that we have to imua na Poki, right? Imua na Poki means forward with our young people, and that we have to support that. So I just think that what you are doing is just so awesome. And I think that your idea of connecting, because we do have this very visible gap in Rotary, right? Where we have our more senior group, and then we have a younger group coming in. And for the last few years, we really tried to make a big effort in trying to get younger people. I mean, in our club, we just inducted this week 2 people in their 30s, which is kind of cool. But that conversation between the 2 of them, it really, really, really important, right? So another concept I learned from my grandmother as I started growing up was this concept of kupu, right? And kupu, as you know, means to grow, right? And so her thing is that what she taught us is that we have to kupu mau, always be learning. And if you're somebody who's always learning, then you're always looking at each other respectfully to find out what it is that you can glean from them, and you can improve yourself. I think, I have a lot of grandchildren. I mean, I have great grandchildren now. And before, when they were really little and they made a lot of noise and nuisance, I just like, oh man, there's them. But now as they're growing up and they're in their 20s, they're actually, and actually even the smaller ones, man, the ones that are 4, 5, 8, 9 years old, I can see that they are smart. I mean, they have things to offer. They have things that I can learn. So I feel like our older generation that's here, this group that's kind of older in Rotary, I feel like if we just look at this younger generation as a source of learning, right, that we could learn a lot from them. Believe me, I mean, if I don't know how to work an app, I gotta tell you, like my 9-year-old granddaughter can just in a second show me how that thing works. And anyway, I don't know if you want to stay with us, great, because what I want to do now is just start a conversation within our group that's on here about how we can bridge that gap. And I tell you, like I would say the number one biggest challenge in Rotary today is the development of young leadership. Because in Rotary, even though like we've got 1 million members across the planet, right? The basis of Rotary is in our clubs. And each of you that are on the screen, I know most of you that are on the screen now, you know, within your clubs, you can see like, if there's not going to be leadership in our club, there's not going to be a club, and then there's not going to be Rotary. I mean, it's pretty simple as that. So, you know, I have a presentation to kind of go through, but I decided now let's just have a conversation about your thoughts and ideas. Now, some of you guys like Vern, you know, we were just a week ago, we were in LA doing pets, right? President-elect. I hope someday, Poki, you'll be a club president, because it's an amazing experience. But for some of you that are on the screen, and if you want to participate in this conversation, please turn your camera on so I can call on you to get what are some of your ideas on how we can be more engaging with the younger generation that's coming up. And you know, that the situation that Rachel just pointed out, it's something that's happening in every club everywhere. It's like, how do you get people more engaged? And that was one of the strategic priorities we put out there, right? What we put out there is enhanced participant engagement. So how do we engage people more, not just about activities within the club and our community, but within the development of leadership? So some of my favorite people on here, Bev Hikus, I'm going to go to you and see what your thoughts are, because Bev always has a thought.
Thank you. You're waking me up this morning. Okay.
Yeah, good.
I'm going first. Okay, I guess a couple of things were coming to my mind when I was listening to our excellent speaker today. She mentions quite a few things about people not looking like her. Those are things that some of us can relate to with Rotary. That kept me from Rotary for a long, long time back in the day. When I first heard about it, I'm like, okay, I don't belong there. And so I think another thing we need to look at is making people feel like they belong in these situations. Even though we come and we participate, do we really feel like we belong here? There's still underlying things that make us question that. So I think that's important too. The other thing I think with young people is they don't have the finances to pay these high fees that we do have to join our club. I've heard members, even guests that come to our club and they say, oh, I was just about to give my $3. And then someone gave more and they kept their $3. They don't quite understand that your $3, if 1 million people came to a meeting and gave $3 around the world, that is quite a bit of money that we'll be getting to support the causes that we have in Rotary. So I think that needs to be expressed to them too, that your $3 add up or whatever you can give. So I think that hinders too, because I heard that from people. And again, back to the fees, it is really hard for a young person starting out in a family to pay $250 to join an organization. So I think we should maybe look at some ways to have some kind of supplement for young people to get them in. And then the other thing too, we do need mentors, people that really want to work with young people. And I know there's a lot of them in various clubs, but young people need to feel that you want to be bothered with me, you want to teach me, you want to show me. And sometimes we as older people tend not to convey that message as well. And I think that keep young people away as well. So those are the 3 things that were coming out and coming to my mind when I was listening to her conversation. So thank you so much for coming this morning and sharing with us and starting this conversation that all of our clubs need to make, not just about young people, but people of all races and people that look like me and look like others. Lots of conversations need to be held. Thank you, Benson.
All right, great. So same thing, I want to comment on what Bev just had to say. When I got into Rotary, one of the things that I saw everywhere is that there weren't very many Native Hawaiians in Rotary. And I started to ask, well, how come there's not more Native Hawaiians in Rotary? And then when I started looking around, yeah, well, there's a cost issue. But one of the things that we learned last weekend when we were at Pets, right? The number one reason that people stay in Rotary is because of their club experience. If they have a good club and they're basically included in their club, they make friends in their club, they like the stuff that their club is doing, they will stay with that club. So making people feel at home and making that club experience really positive, that's the number one thing that keeps people in Rotary. So we have to remember that. And I wanna call on a couple people that were there. Kimo, what's your thought about it? Because this whole conversation about cost is a really big one. And we saw last week. And when we were at Pets, right, they were auctioning off a tie and a scarf or whatever, right? And some of these things went for like $4,000. Like, who pays $4,000 for a tie, right? And it's because some people in Rotary have a lot of money. And although that's really great, and we raised all that money for polio, I mean, somebody who's sitting in there who's like scraped every dollar just to get there, saying, "Wow, do I really belong here?" So, okay. We're gonna kind of have to wrap this up because we have another meeting actually coming right on the end of this. And so I wanted to get some input from some of you other guys. Kimo, go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Benson. And it's always a pleasure. And yes, we work together at PETS, and we discuss this topic in our breakout groups. It's such an important topic, especially for survival of Rotary. And I think, I know in my club, we want to blend the two together, the younger Rotarians with more mature, I'll say, instead of saying older people like myself. I think that one of the topics that we discussed is more of an incentive program for younger Rotarians. And I know in real estate, we used to say in order to buy real estate, it was kind of like sweat equity. And I don't want to use that term, but if a Rotarian, younger Rotarian is willing to put some time and energy into community service projects, I mean, if we could assign a value to that and perhaps take that value, incentivize that and apply it towards their membership, I think it would be a different way of attracting younger, as you say, younger leadership to our clubs. So I think that's one of the, and I know your time is really short, and
You're good. Go for it.
One of the we talked about mentoring. I developed a mentoring program for my clubs many years ago. I think back in 1906 when I started at Rotary. I just did that for Naomi, but. Seriously, I think that issue that came up, that older members may be not comfortable with younger members. And I know myself, I sometimes have difficulty communicating with someone 35 years old. I'll just kind of put that out there and say it. So one of the concerns is that matching those mentors up with the new members. But I think it really is better to match them up with, instead of having the person that brought them into Rotary be their mentor, someone completely different that will put a new perspective on it. And I think it's about the relationships. I mean, I always say, as a 30-year Rotarian, I have friends for life around the world and here on the mainland and certainly in Hawaii. Those are relationships that I would never have if it wasn't for Rotary. So, somehow bridging that age gap and making the two work together, I think it could be a beautiful thing if the right combination is put together. So on that, you guys, Naomi and Benson, keep up the wonderful training you guys do. You guys do an awesome job. Aloha.
Thanks, Kimo. Appreciate that. So, a few years back, Naomi and I were facilitating a young professionals group, which had a bunch of people in there that looked just like Poki. And so when we started asking what are some of the things that you guys would like to do, that will make Rotary more meaningful experience to you. And so they talked about, hey, we want to travel to other islands, we want to do this stuff, or all like a whole list of stuff. And one of the things that actually was at the top of the list is they asked if we would like professional business mentorship. So they're asking for that. And I don't know, if you want, Pookie, you can chime in on this, but our young people that are joining now, they're willing, they're open to listening. And so I think, those of us that are willing to do some mentoring. So in mentoring, in my mind, it goes both ways, right? That we're able to teach and we're able to learn at the same time. I'm gonna kind of wrap this up here because we're gonna start our next session. Is there anybody else that was on our call before, as we're talking about leadership, that would like to say something before we kind of wrap up? Okay, Vern. Yeah, I was gonna call you.
Yeah, just a quick one. I think because I joined Rotary later in life, mainly because I could not get the time based on my job to meet somebody at noon or an evening session just because of commuting and other things. So we have to be very accommodating to these younger folks, because guess what? They've got family things going on. They've got job requirements and so on. So somehow we've got to be very accommodating, trying to adjust our set ways to meet their needs. And that's a challenge. And I heard some great ideas at PETS that how they're trying to work around, especially time, because time is valuable, and I hate wasting people's time. So that's the big point I'd like to bring up.
Okay, Nancy, I want to go to you, and then we'll over to membership. Thanks.
I think that family is a really big issue, and we need to make more of our activities have an issue so that the whole family comes. Because if you're young and your family comes, then it becomes a family organization, not your individual. You don't leave your family, you bring your family. So you're doing an outdoor event. We're cleaning the park, we're cleaning the beach, man. You put 2 or 3 people in charge of that and bring the hot dogs down, and I think more people will bring their kids, their spouses will come with the kids maybe and join in, because you bring them, you don't leave them. So that's my number one for young people. Okay.
Yeah. Great, Nancy. Thanks a lot. And so the final thing that I want to say today before I pivot, where we pivot over to membership, is exactly what Nancy said. So the reason that I do public service today, community service today, is that my dad was dragging us out as little kids, cleaning people's yards and all this kind of stuff when we were, 8, 9 years old. And even though we're asking, hey, what are we doing here? He says, we're helping people who don't have the ability to help themselves, and that's why you're doing it. And then he also said, hey, you gotta, at some point you'll understand this, but you gotta have a purpose in life beyond just yourself. So, when you grow up, hopefully you're gonna get that. But anyway, thanks for those of you joining us in the last hour to talk about leadership, because it's a crucial thing, not just in Rotary, but in organizations everywhere. So now it's 10 o'clock, and we're going to start our membership workshop, and I'm going to turn it over to Naomi.
Okay, so Benson, as we wrap up our Leadership 101 thing, and we want to give Randy a 1-minute close up, our membership Zoom coming up at 10 o'clock, we'll talk about attracting members and retaining members, and want to come up with a action plan. So those of you that want to stay for this next membership session, please do, because there's going to be a lot of ideas about attracting and retaining. Okay, Randy, you want to wrap us up? 1 minute.
1 minute I can do. Wrapping it up, I don't know if I'll be able to stay within the 10 minutes that I'm allotted on the membership thing, but we will try anyway. Very much appreciate 30 people showing up this morning for at 9 o'clock, and hopefully you're all going to stay on for the membership training. I can't thank Vincent and Naomi enough for putting on this morning's training. And with that, we'll see you all in 1 minute at the membership training.
Okay. Okay, we're good, huh, Naomi?
Yep.
All right, so let's see, who's gonna be our moderator for today for membership? Let's see, Lane just came on.
Yeah, so you're our Zoom host, but we're going to start off with
Okay.
Brandon. But I think we need to take a 2-minute break for anybody who's been on an hour.
Okay. All right, so let's take a 2-minute break, which means we're going to start in 2 minutes. And so, Lane, are we starting with Lane?
No, Randy is going to
Oh,
start.
Randy. Oh, okay. So now we get Randy back to back. How about that? Okay. Well, hang on, guys. We'll start here in just another minute or so. If you need to take a quick break, I think that's me. And Poki, thanks a lot for joining us again. Boy, if you guys were here the last hour, Poki just really rocked it. So when you come back and you're done with your program over there in New York, let's have a whole session and everybody can come and kind of listen to, what you learned over there and what we can learn from you. So thanks.
Sure. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, if you're wondering what we're talking about, Poki is actually at a workshop, seminar or something. You want to explain real quick? And she's in New York, Obama Scholars Program, right? Or leadership program.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Nice to see more faces coming on. Real quickly, I'll just tell you about the program. So yes, I'm currently in New York City, part of President Obama's Obama Scholars Program, and we work in conjunction with Columbia University and Columbia World Projects. And the intent of this program, just to do a real quick overview, is to give young leaders a platform and for them who are doing social impact in their communities outside of their organization or themselves, a platform to enhance their skills and to solve issues, then to then bring back to their community for sustainable solutions. So it's 12 leaders, 12 different countries. I have the honor of being the first from Hawaii and to represent Hawaii in the United States. And so they provide us with many tools, executive coaching, and we get to speak with many leaders from around the world and here in the United States and look at people who are conducting fundraising and many other topics that will help us to enhance our levels and also work on our areas of concern and return home and bring solutions back with us.
Woo-hoo. All right, and yeah, I just want to let you guys know, man, that Poki is also a Rotarian, so we're looking forward to you coming back and sharing with us. So okay, thanks a lot. All right, gang, it's Saturday morning, which means another fun time in Rotary, and Naomi has her finger up, and which means that she has something to say. Go for it.
We need to stop the recording for that one and start it over for this new session. So hold on.
Okay, everybody, just sort of freeze.